18 ancient survival herbs that every modern garden needs. We live in an age of instant relief, yet we have never been more dangerously disconnected from the source of our healing. Look around your home. Most of us rely on a global supply chain that is as fragile as glass. What happens when the trucks stop moving? What happens when the pharmacy shelves, once overflowing with synthetic solutions, sit empty and covered in the dust of a broken system? Our ancestors didn't have the luxury of 2-4-hour drugstores. They had something far more resilient: the living, breathing earth. Today, on Lush Green Garden, we are not just talking about hobby gardening. We are talking about biological sovereignty. We are rediscovering 18 ancient survival herbs, warriors of the soil, that have healed humanity for 10,000 years. These plants are potent, they are resilient, and they are life-saving. They must return to our modern landscapes before the sacred wisdom of how to use them is extinguished forever. This is your journey from dependency to independence. Let's dive deep into our first guardian, yarrow. To understand yarrow, we must go back to the bloody battlefields of the Trojan War. Legend tells us that the hero Achilles used this herb to treat the deep gashes of his soldiers, hence its Latin name, Achillea. But this is more than just mythology. Yarrow contains a unique volatile oil called achillene, which acts as a hemostatic agent. This means it has the biological power to trigger blood platelets to aggregate almost instantly, creating a natural seal on open wounds. In a survival scenario, an untreated cut isn't just a nuisance, it's a gateway for sepsis and fatal infection. Yarrow is your first aid kit in the soil. High-yield gardening secret. Many people fail with yarrow because they treat it too well. To get the highest concentration of medicinal alkaloids, you must stress the plant. Grow it in full, harsh sun and poor, well-drained soil. When the plant struggles, it produces more secondary metabolites, the very chemicals that heal us. Preparation for survival. You don't need a lab. Simply harvest the feathery leaves, crush them between your palms to release the oils, and apply the poultice directly to a bleeding wound. It is nature's biological tourniquet. In the Lush Green way, we honor the yarrow as the protector of the boundary, both for our skin and our garden's energy. Next, we look at the shield that guards the gate, Echinacea. Long before the advent of synthetic antibiotics, the indigenous peoples of North America utilized the purple coneflower for everything from rattlesnake bites to deep-seated respiratory infections. Echinacea doesn't work like a typical drug that attacks a virus. Instead, it supercharges your own internal army. It stimulates the production of white blood cells, the macrophages, increasing their ability to hunt and destroy invading pathogens. The high-yield strategy. If you want a medicinal-grade harvest, patience is your greatest tool. While the flowers are beautiful, the real power lies in the root. You must wait until the plant is at least 3 years old before harvesting the roots in the late autumn. This is when the concentration of echinacasides is at its peak. In a lush green garden, we interplant echinacea with holy basil. This pairing creates a high vibrational synergy that boosts the potency of both plants. Remember, a plant grown in a stressed, natural environment is 10 times more powerful than one grown with chemical fertilizers. You want a warrior plant to help you become a warrior survivor. If you were forced to choose only one plant for medical survival, let it be garlic. This is the Russian penicillin. During World Wars I and II, When medical supplies were non-existent, garlic was used to prevent gangrene in the trenches. The secret lies in a compound called allicin. When you crush a clove of garlic, two separate components combine to create this organosulfur powerhouse. It is a broad-spectrum antibiotic, antiviral, and antifungal agent. Cultivation mastery. To double your garlic yield and potency, you must use the cold stratification method. Plant your cloves in late autumn, about 6 inches deep in rich, black soil. The winter freeze triggers the bulb to split and develop a massive root system. By the time spring arrives, the plant is ready to explode with growth. In a survival situation, eating 1 raw clove a day is your best defense against internal parasites and seasonal viruses. It is the gold standard of the self-sufficient apothecary. Mullein is often called the lung herb or the great torch. In a world where air quality can become a crisis, mullein is the guardian of the respiratory system. Its large, velvety leaves contain high levels of mucilage, a substance that coats and soothes irritated membranes in the throat and lungs. It is an incredible expectorant, meaning it helps the body expel trapped fluid and congestion. Ancient healers would even smoke the dried leaves to provide immediate relief during asthma attacks or severe coughing fits. Survival gardening. Mullein is a biennial, meaning it has a 2-year life cycle. In the first year, it stays low to the ground as a soft rosette of fuzzy leaves. This is when you harvest for medicinal teas. In the second year, it shoots up a massive flower spike that can reach 8 feet in height, symbolizing its connection to the air and sky. It thrives in neglected, rocky soil, turning the waste areas of your garden into a sanctuary for the breath. It is the silent sentinel of your health. Ancient herbalists didn't call this plant comfrey, they called it knitbone. Its primary medicinal compound, allantoin, is a cell proliferant. This means it literally forces skin, connective tissue, and even bone cells to regenerate at an accelerated rate. If you suffer a fracture or a severe sprain in a world without X-rays and casts, comfrey is your primary ally. The Lush Green Advantage. Comfrey is a dynamic accumulator. Its massive taproot can reach 10 to 15 feet into the subsoil, pulling up minerals like potassium and calcium that other plants cannot reach. In our garden, we use comfrey not just for healing our bodies, but for healing our soil. We chop and drop the leaves to create the most nutrient-dense mulch on the planet. Warning: because it heals so fast, never use comfrey on a dirty wound, or it may trap the infection inside by closing the skin too quickly. Use it for closed fractures, sprains, and bruises to witness the true speed of nature's recovery. Do not mistake plantain for the banana-like fruit, and certainly do not mistake it for a common weed. Plantain is nature's vacuum cleaner for toxins. It contains a unique combination of tannins and silica that creates a powerful drawing action. If you are bitten by a spider, stung by a bee, or even come into contact with poison ivy, plantain is your immediate antidote. It draws the venom out of the tissue and neutralizes the inflammatory response. Survival ease. Plantain grows everywhere in the cracks of sidewalks, in neglected lawns, and in the heart of your garden. It is the most accessible medicine on this list. Simply find a leaf, chew it slightly to activate the enzymes with your saliva, and spit the poultice directly onto the sting. Within minutes, the throbbing pain will vanish. It is the humble guardian of the skin, always underfoot, waiting to serve the aware survivor. We move now to the vibrant orange glow of calendula, often called pot marigold. In the ancient world, this was the sun for the skin. Its petals are concentrated with flavonoids and triterpenoids, compounds that don't just soothe, but actively stimulate the production of collagen at the site of a wound. When you look at a calendula flower, you are looking at a biological factory of cellular repair. It is the gold standard for treating localized infections, fungal rashes, and the slow healing burns of a survivor's campfire. Unlike many herbs that can be harsh, calendula is incredibly gentle, making it the primary guardian for infants and those with sensitive complexions. High-yield secret. To capture the maximum medicinal yield, you must harvest the flower heads at the peak of the morning heat, just after the dew has evaporated, but before the sun reaches its zenith. This is when the resin, the sticky, healing sap at the base of the flower, is most potent. In our Lush Green practice, we infuse these golden petals into carrier oils for 40 days, allowing the solar energy to lock the plant's frequency into a shelf-stable salve that lasts for years. It is the essence of resilience, turning the energy of the sun into the healing of the flesh. In a world of chaos and survival, your greatest enemy is not the predator outside, but the cortisol inside. Insomnia and anxiety can degrade a survivor's judgment faster than hunger. This is why you must grow valerian. While its flowers smell of sweet honey, its power lies deep underground in its pungent, earthy roots. Valerian acts directly on the GABA receptors in the human brain, the same receptors targeted by modern sedative drugs. It silences the noise of the nervous system, allowing for deep, restorative REM sleep. Cultivation mastery. Valerian is a heavy feeder. To get thick, medicinal roots, you must provide it with a soil rich in organic matter and consistent moisture. In the Lush Green Garden, we harvest the roots in the second year, during the autumn when the plant's energy has fully retreated into the earth. Be warned, the scent of the dried root is intense and earthy, a sign of its raw potency. A simple decoction of this root is the difference between a night of panic and a night of profound recovery. It is the anchor of the soul. Peppermint is often dismissed as a mere flavoring, but to the ancient herbalist, it was a catalyst. Menthol, its primary active component, is a powerful antispasmodic. It relaxes the smooth muscles of the digestive tract, instantly cutting through the agony of stomach cramps, bloating, and foodborne distress, common issues when living off the land. But its secondary power is mental. Inhaling the vapor of peppermint oil increases oxygen saturation in the brain, providing a surge of cognitive clarity without the jagged crash of caffeine. High-yield management. Peppermint is an opportunist. It will take over your garden if you let it. We recommend growing it in large, submerged containers to contain its runners. To increase the menthol content by up to 30%, harvest the leaves just as the plant begins to bud, but before it fully flowers. This is when the essential oil glands on the underside of the leaves are swollen to their limit. In a survival situation, a single leaf can be the difference between a foggy mind and the sharp focus needed to navigate a crisis. There is an ancient saying, rosemary is for remembrance. Modern neuroscience has confirmed that the carnosic acid in rosemary protects the brain from neurodegeneration and improves long-term memory. In a survival scenario, your memory is your library. You must remember which trails are safe, which water sources are clean, and how to identify your allies. Rosemary ensures your brain remains a sharp, functional tool. Gardening technique. Rosemary is a child of the Mediterranean. It craves heat and demands perfectly drained, almost sandy soil. It is a perennial guardian that can live for decades, becoming a woody, invincible shrub in your garden. The more you prune its tips, the more it branches, providing you with a constant supply of antioxidant-rich foliage. It is also a powerful circulatory stimulant. Rubbing rosemary oil on cold or tired limbs brings the blood rushing back to the surface, restoring warmth and vitality. It is the woody sentinel of the mind. Dandelion, Taraxacum officinale, the total body detoxifier. Perhaps the most persecuted plant in the modern world, the dandelion is actually one of the most complete survival foods and medicines on the planet. Every single part of this plant, from the bright yellow flower to the deep, bitter taproot, is edible and medicinal. The leaves are a powerful diuretic that, unlike synthetic drugs, does not deplete the body of potassium. The roots are the ultimate liver tonic, stimulating the production of bile and flushing out toxins that accumulate in our fatty tissues. The survival secret. In a world where food quality might drop, dandelion provides a massive dose of vitamin A, C, and K. The bitter flavor of the leaves is a signal to your digestive system to wake up and produce the enzymes needed to absorb nutrients efficiently. At Lush Green Garden, we never call this a weed. We call it a master physician that grows for free in the cracks of the world. It is the symbol of unyielding life, providing deep detoxification for the liver and a high vibrational spark for the blood. Sage Salvia officinalis, the great antiseptic purifier. Finally, for this segment, we encounter sage. Its Latin name, salvia, literally means to save or to heal. Sage is the ultimate antiseptic for the throat and mouth. If you have an infection, a mouth ulcer, or a persistent sore throat, a strong tea made of sage is more effective than most over-the-counter sprays. It contains thujone and rosmarinic acid, which act as powerful anti-inflammatories. High-yield gardening. Sage loves the sun, but hates wet feet. To ensure a high yield of medicinal leaves, grow it in elevated beds or pots with plenty of grit. In the Lush Green way, we also use sage for smudging or energetic clearing. When you burn dried sage, the smoke contains negative ions that physically clear the air of bacteria and spiritually clear the space of stagnant, negative energy. It is the master of purification, both for the body and the temple we call home. Lemon balm, Melissa officinalis, the antiviral calm. In times of high stress and viral outbreaks, lemon balm is your silent guardian, a member of the mint family. Its scent is pure sunshine, but its chemistry is a complex fortress. It contains high levels of polyphenols that have been scientifically proven to inhibit the replication of viruses, particularly those in the herpes family. But beyond its physical shield, lemon balm is a nervine. It talks directly to the heart and the nervous system, cooling the heat of anxiety and lowering a racing pulse. High-yield secret, lemon balm is an overachiever. To ensure the highest concentration of rosmarinic acid, you must harvest it before the tiny white flowers appear. Once it blooms, the energy shifts from the medicinal leaves to seed production. In a lush green garden, we use lemon balm as a living mulch around our fruit trees, inviting bees while providing us with an endless supply of antiviral tea that can be drunk daily to maintain a state of profound emotional and physical resilience. Thyme Thymus vulgaris, the respiratory disinfectant. If mullein is the lungs' protector, then thyme is its disinfectant. Thyme contains thymol, a phenol so powerful that it is still used today in modern mouthwashes and surgical scrubs. In a survival situation where hygiene is compromised, thyme is a lifesaver. It is an expectorant and an antispasmodic, meaning it forces out trapped phlegm while calming a violent, dry cough. Cultivation mastery. Thyme is a child of the sun and the stone. It demands neglect to be potent. Grow it in the rockiest, harshest part of your garden. The more the plant has to struggle against the heat, the more thymol it produces in its tiny, woody leaves. At Lush Green Garden, we make a thyme steam, pouring boiling water over fresh sprigs and inhaling the vapor to physically scrub the lungs of bacteria and environmental pollutants. It is the woody, resilient warrior of the respiratory system. Street John's wort, Hypericum perforatum, light for the soul. Survival is as much a mental battle as a physical one. Depression and situational hopelessness can be more fatal than any infection. This is where Street John's wort steps in. Known as the herb of light, it literally blooms at the summer solstice, capturing the maximum solar energy of the year. It works by regulating the neurotransmitters in the brain, keeping serotonin levels stable during dark times. The medicinal sign. If you hold a leaf up to the sun, you will see tiny, translucent spots that look like perforations. These are actually glands filled with hypericin, the red oil that heals the nerves. When you crush the yellow flowers, your fingers will turn a deep blood red. This red oil is the liquid light of the garden. We use it to heal damaged nerves, sciatica, and deep bruises. It is the plant that ensures your spirit remains unbroken when the world goes dark. Nettle urtica dioica, the natural multivitamin. In a survival world, malnutrition is a constant threat. Nettle is your solution. While most people avoid its sting, the aware survivor welcomes it. Nettle is a hyper-accumulator of nutrients. It is richer in iron, calcium, and magnesium than almost any cultivated vegetable. It is a blood builder, a kidney tonic, and a massive protein source for those living off the land. High-yield secret. Nettle thrives where there is high nitrogen, often near compost piles or animal enclosures. To harvest without the sting, wear gloves and pick the young tops in early spring. Once boiled or dried, the sting disappears, leaving behind a deep, earthy superfood that restores energy to a malnourished body faster than any synthetic supplement. In the Lush Green way, we use nettle as a foliar feed for our other plants, because what heals the human also heals the garden. Marshmallow root, Althea officinalis, the protective membrane. Marshmallow root has nothing to do with the sugar-filled candy of today. Its name comes from the Greek altho, meaning to heal. This plant is the master of mucilage, a thick, slippery substance that creates a physical protective barrier over any inflamed surface in your body. Whether it is a stomach ulcer from stress, a burnt throat from smoke, or an intestinal infection, marshmallow root slimes the area with a cooling, healing film. Cultivation mastery. As its name suggests, it loves marshes. It needs wet, boggy soil to produce the thick, fleshy roots that contain the highest amount of healing mucilage. At Lush Green Garden, We cold infuse the roots in water overnight. This creates a thick, medicinal gel that is the ultimate internal bandage. It is the soft, soothing mother of the survival garden. Willow bark, Salix alba, the father of aspirin. Finally, we reach the white willow. For over 2,000 years, from the time of Hippocrates, humans have chewed the bark of this tree to fight fever and kill pain. It contains salicin, which the human body converts into salicylic acid, the precursor to modern aspirin. It is the ultimate natural fever reducer. Survival harvesting. You do not need to cut down the tree. Simply prune small 2-year-old branches and peel the flexible inner bark. This is where the life force and the medicine flow. In a lush green sanctuary, we plant willow near our water sources. Not only does it provide us with medicine, but its roots filter the water, and its branches provide the materials for weaving baskets and fences. It is the woody patriarch of the survival forest, standing tall to protect your family from the heat of sickness and the bite of pain. Freezing time with tinctures and salves. A garden of 18 herbs is a treasure chest, but without preservation, that treasure rots. To achieve 100% self-sufficiency, you must master the alchemy of preservation. First, the 1-0-year tincture. By macerating your roots and leaves in 100-proof alcohol for 6 weeks, you create a shelf-stable extract that takes up almost no space and loses none of its potency for over a decade. This is your emergency medical kit. Second, the solar salve. By infusing your calendula and street, John's wort into oils under the 40-day sun, you capture the solar energy and bind it to the earth's fats. These salves are your frontline defense for skin and nerves. Finally, the sacred drying. Hanging your herbs in a dark, airy space ensures that when the winter comes, the spirit of the summer garden is still in your cup. This is how you bridge the gap between a single season and a lifetime of health. This is the Lush Green Way: intentional, prepared, and forever resilient.